Well, originally we were going to have 10,000, or sorry, originally we were going to have 111,369 plots. And originally there was going to be a building that came with each plot. And, there's a lot on Twitter, and you can see through our devlogs all the crazy procedural tech we're using to build the city. And through, like Frank said earlier, really building it over the past several years and understanding all the limitations in terms of frame rate and resources and how buildings need to be constructed and how instances need to be used, and how we can leverage procedural technology to build such a insanely large space. We've really gotten clear on kind of what the underlying costs are, what the limitations are, how we can mostly make it all work. And originally there was going to be 10,369 plots on the island, and Trinity, and then there was going to be a subsequent land sale 2, and land sale 3 that would be on the mainland. And so now there's still going to be 3 sales, but the first 2 are inside the city of Wyoming, so inside the city limits of Wyoming. So there's the island sale, and then there's going to be subsequently the mainland sale, and then that'll all happen relatively quickly. Like that'll happen over the next several months in Act 2, and then the third sale is kind of way off in the future. We're not making any promises in terms of when that sale will happen, and that will be in this place called No Man's Land, which is outside of the city limits. So you basically have the island, you have the mainland. So the island is like South Beach in Miami, basically. So you have the island, then you have the mainland, and then you have No Man's Land, which is sort of out by the mountains. What we did for our Trinity holders is we just wanted to share gratitude for them for riding with us through thick and thin through the last several years. We know it's been not easy for a lot of different people, and we really wanted to stand behind everybody and show our appreciation to them. So what we did was kind of crazy. Um, we took the 10,369 total plots on the island, and we pulled that down to roughly the number of trinities, so, or the possible number of trinity pairs. So there'll be 4,444 plots, and those are the most desirable plots. They're the plots that'll be built first. We're building that out on the island, and so basically, Trinity holders. The snapshot is on August 21st. Trinity holders will get will get an airdrop for their plot on the island, and there won't be a public sale. So it's an airdrop. The best land is going to that group, and it'll basically be hard to get. There'll still be things built outside of those 4,444 on the island, built by the game, public places you can visit, and so on and so forth. But nothing will be ownable. There'll only be 4,444 ownable plots on the island, basically, and they'll go through that airdrop. So snapshots on August 21st. Then on the mainland is much more oriented towards mining. And so we're about to kick off this entire mining industry. And what we're in the process of doing, it requires certain votes from our foundation. It requires certain votes from the DAOs and whatnot. But the objective is to allocate 100 million wild. So today's price, it's about $25 million worth of wild. Obviously, the price is down quite significantly. So we think 100, that's 20% of the supply, and that 20%, those 100 million wild, will basically be embedded into the land across land sale 1 and 2. So land sale 1 and 2, 44,444, roughly 4,000 on the island and 40,000 on the mainland, and that 100 million wild will be dispersed across those plots and sort of embedded into those plots as resources that can be mined. So those resources, they'll kind of sit there, and the wild kind of sits like right below the surface, so it's easier to mine. You'll need to buy a mining unit. Mining units will come online, and they'll be between $50 and $1,000. And also gens, an existing contract, will mine, and you'll basically be able to connect those things together, and you'll be able to extract the wild from the land before the land is built on, and you'll be able to deploy your mining unit there, and you'll basically be able to pull wild out of the ground, the proverbial ground. And what's also cool is that's kind of the original utility, but then afterwards you can sell the plot because people can use it, or you can build on the plot if you want to actually build a building there or something like that. And there will also be other resources deposited. So I've mentioned we're working on this economic paper in terms of how the whole land economy works, but essentially we've modeled a lot of the resources after resources in the real world. So think of things like gold, lead, copper, ore, these types of things, nickel. So there's a whole resource profile that is underneath the ground, mostly in the mainland. So the mainland is sort of a more resource-rich area than the island, and there will be additional resources that you can mine and like beyond wild. And so those raw materials will be able to be used to basically convert those materials into the underlying objects and plates and windows and doors and all of the types of things that you'd imagine to actually construct land. But that is going to become the basis. Like refineries, factories, and mining are kind of the basis. So we're going to get that industrial economy moving, and then building buildings will require a certain amount of raw materials, and you can kind of mine those raw materials, refine them, and produce them yourself, or you can just buy them from somebody that is, fulfilling that role in the economy. So we've really thought about it like an entire supply chain, and very much like as real of as an economy as you can imagine that's ever been created in a game. And this is really the beginning of that. And yeah, I mean that's all going to begin over the next couple months, basically. And the snapshot for the first one will be on August 21st. The land sale 1 and land sale 2 will actually be relatively close together now. Land sale 1 will be on Ethereum. Land sale 2 will be on, because more mining will happen on land sale 2, so that'll be deployed on Meow Chain. We're really pushing hard, working very closely with the top people at Polygon, including Sandeep there, the CEO, and as well as the Gateway team, which has got some really amazing people from the Ethereum community in it. And we've been working really hard on this chain. We're about to deploy our third testnet, and then we're hoping that by the end of September we'll have the chain fully live. At that point, n3o and Wilder will switch over to Meow Chain. We'll support Ethereum and Meow Chain, and then basically, a lot of these systems are actually already ready, and we'll turn on these mechanics, these sales, as well as NFT staking and a bunch of other things. That's like a mouthful, but that's what's happening.